Gregory, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm great, Pete. Thank you for having me here this morning.
I want to read to and share with the audience a little bit about your background, and then we'll get right into the heart of our topic today.
Sounds good.
Greg Maloney is a marketing instructor at Florida International University. Like I said, a phenomenal partner of my show. He joined the College of Business in August 2013 and teaches a variety of classes, including marketing fundamentals and marketing analytics. Prior to joining FIU, Gregory Maloney held various management positions at Bacardi for 20 years, including Senior Client Server Developer, Director of Business Data and Reporting, and Assistant Vice President of Business Analytics. Earlier in his career, he was New Business Development Analyst at Motorola Solutions America, Latina, and Caribe. And Greg received his Master of Science and Master of Business Administration and CIS and Marketing from the University of Miami. And Greg, I've got to ask you the question, man. That's got to be a little tough sometimes when you have the U and now FIU. How do you manage that, my friend?
It depends on whether it's football season or not. But my loyalty now is for sure with the Panthers, with FIU. But definitely when football season starts up a little bit, I tend to lean
the green and orange kind of comes out maybe
the
a little
green
bit.
and orange comes out a little bit at that point for sure.
Hey, Greg, got so much to talk about here today, and we were talking off air about the way this world is changing, and you can talk about internet, online. Obviously, the big umbrella is technology, and it is it's not even just maybe 5-7 years ago, it was a strong part of our world. Today, it seems to be the world for us in so many ways, whether it's personal and business. And of course, the business world continues to change and revolve, and there's so many new things going on. And when you think about what's happening with the internet and everything online, it is an exciting time. It is a time that new ideas are being developed, new ways of doing business is happening, but at the same time, it is a challenge for what we call the brick and mortar, the retail stores and the shopping malls and things like that. Let's start by a definition of omni-channel marketing. What is it? And then we'll talk about the trends and the things that have been going on.
Sure. So omni-channel marketing is essentially this new approach that marketers are taking, where they're looking at the experience from the shopping experience from the consumer's perspective. So instead of looking at things differently like marketers would in the past, where maybe an online channel would be one way that they would market and reach consumers, other traditional brick and mortar approaches, department stores, other types of retail might be marketed in different ways. Marketers now realize that consumers don't just shop in one channel, that they're crossing over. They're gathering information from one channel, shopping in another, maybe making a final purchase in a third. And from the consumer's perspective, they don't really care that these require different expertise from the company and different approaches. To them, it's just one experience. They want to learn about the product as much as possible, and then they want to be able to make a purchase and get the best deal. I like to use omni-channel. It kind of comes from this term omni, which has the Latin root of omnis, which means one, or kind of all things. And it also refers to me a little bit, there's this nice parallel to the term omniscient, which means all-knowing. Mm-hmm. And that's really what the omni-channel approach is for marketers, is knowing as much as you possibly can about the consumer so you can help them make the best decision. And so when they're having experiences with your product and they're crossing over channels, they're not starting over every single time. So it's not learning about a product online and then going into a store and having a salesperson tell you the exact same thing that you just found out online, but it's continuing that experience all the way through until the consumer makes that final decision.
We were discussing, again, before we started the show, regarding in the traditional sense, companies, organizations that were offering products and services were basically calling the shots. Mm-hmm. along the way, and this is what we have, and this is the only way that you can get it, and we believe that you should have it, and make your decision there. Now it's flip-flopped.
And the great thing is it's being driven by, this isn't being driven by the companies, this is being driven by consumers. The technology that consumers are using and the way that they're shopping is what's driving these trends. And there's a great quote I remember from Henry Ford way back during the production era of marketing, where he said, our consumers can have a Model T in any color they want, as long as it's black.
Yep.
And that kind of
tell you what the times were back then.
That exemplifies how they were thinking back then, but companies had to shift based on consumers had preferences and had different needs. That's what's happening now. There is with all this proliferation of technology, consumers are shopping differently. Consumers have different needs. Consumers are able to find more information out there than they ever have before, and they're demanding certain things from companies, and companies need to react to this. And I see a huge shift happening over the next several years as far as companies that are doing this the right way are going to grow, and companies that are not are going to miss the boat. Just like if you look back to the 1980s, the largest retailers that existed at that time, the majority of them were bankrupt short after Amazon was launched back in 1995. We've seen some really interesting things in the news lately with companies like Walmart.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think they've closed down close to 300 stores around the country.
Close to 300.
And they're struggling online.
You won't find anywhere where they admit that that's what's driving it. But if you kind of read between the lines, they are not growing their online business as fast as companies like Amazon or even other retailers that have adopted an online strategy. So is there another shift that's happening here? I mean, definitely the largest retailer in the world is being affected by the current trends that we're seeing.
And I think that a lot of, or to a pretty high percentage of the consumption going on in this country, maybe the world, is with millennials.
Absolutely.
And millennials were born and they don't know a world that does not have technology.
They don't. No. We were talking about this earlier. It's amazing to me. My children have never known a world without technology, never known a world without a smartphone. I remember, going to the library to look things up or debating things and not being able to ask Google. I mean, it's how technology has evolved in just the past 10 years is incredible as far as what's available to us now.
Well, let's look at some of the things that are going on, and I know that one of the things that is, we all talk about opportunities and what's available in the marketplace and how do we grow our organizations, and all signs are pointing towards omni-channel marketing being possibly the single largest opportunity for businesses right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the larger companies are saying, and there's some really interesting statistics out there. Companies that have adopted an omni-channel approach are seeing much larger retention levels. They're seeing consumer loyalty up in the 60 to 70 percentile, whereas companies that don't have omni-channel approaches have maybe a 20 to 30% loyalty retention type of statistic. But there's some really, really interesting kind of patterns from consumers that are driving this. If I can share a couple of those with you right now.
These are some stunning numbers, so I took a peek at it before.
Okay,
these are some stunning numbers. I'll let you. I'm not going to steal your thunder.
No. It's really interesting, and please jump in at any point. So some recent studies we've seen have shown that about 80% of consumers who are in-store consumers, I'm not saying all consumers, but 80% of the people that say that they predominantly shop in stores are researching the products that they're buying before they go into the store. So no longer when they go into the store is that the first time that they're interacting or when they're learning the majority of the information. They're going in already prepared.
They've done their homework.
They've done their homework. They know what they're looking for. They know what a decent price is. You're not going to be able to coerce them with some of your traditional sales type of approaches. Now, on top of that, you get the 80% of those people doing the research before they go. 70% of consumers are actually researching while they're in the store. Mm-hmm. So they're in there looking at things, and they're learning about the product, but they're actually also checking out prices and checking out reviews while they're in the store. And what that's leading to is this hypersensitivity of price to the consumer. And some other statistics I've seen of showing that about 20% of those consumers are then buying from a competitor while they're in the store. So you may go into Best Buy to look at the latest electronics.
And they're going to BrandSmart.
And they're ordering it from BrandSmart. Yeah, either to go pick up from BrandSmart or to have it delivered to their home.
Exactly.
So there's some pretty incredible kind of stunning numbers as far as how people are using the technology to shop.
And I'm thinking here, what does that store do? Let's say it's a Best Buy, and you got somebody checking, pricing and all the specs from BrandSmart on their smartphones there. How does that store? How do you counteract that? I mean, I'm thinking it's just you can't try to fight it in a traditional way.
You cannot. It comes down to what omni-channel marketing really does. It creates stronger loyalty through the consumer. And let me
ask you a question. That's kind of an oxymoron there. It contributes to more loyalty. But if I'm at Best Buy and I'm checking BrandSmart, I'm just looking for price. And where's the loyalty factor? How does one become loyal? Because that sounds like the complete opposite.
It does. The technology is driving people away from loyalty, which is why the omni-channel approach then kind of needs to pull them back. So let me share with you a story of an omni-channel experience that I had recently that kind of to me exemplifies how this works. So are you familiar with the company Kohl's, the department store?
Of course.
Great store, right? So I have a card that I had signed up with for Kohl's. And about a year after, they sent a reminder saying, hey, this is your anniversary of having a charge card with us. Congratulations and thank you for being a consumer. To kind of help you along and keep you loyal, we'd like to give you this coupon, 20% off anything you want to buy in the store. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, that's really nice of them. They're not harassing me with coupons every single day. It was just something nice a year later that kind of gave it a personal touch, right? Mm-hmm. So with that, I went online and I looked at some things. I moved them into the shopping cart. I clicked on the descriptions of other things. But I didn't buy anything because I'm still one of those consumers, especially with things like clothing, where I like to touch them and try them on. So instead, I decided a couple days later I'm going to go into the store. When I arrived at the store, my phone buzzed. And it was kind of a strange buzz. I'd never seen it before. I opened up my phone, and it was Google telling me, my Google app saying, hey, we noticed that you're in Kohl's.
You talk about Big Brother.
Right. So, and that's how the story is always, there's a creepiness factor to it.
There really is.
And my initial reaction was, I was kind of looking around like, is someone watching me? Is someone following me? But at the same time, the message wasn't just, hey, we're watching you. The message was, we noticed you're in the store, and we noticed that you've looked at these things online, and hey, by the way, we can tell you whether there's inventory in the store that you're at or not for the items that you're looking at in case you want to go try them.
Here, can you pay for my products while we're at it too?
Exactly.
Since you know every move I'm making here?
That may be the next step. Hopefully it is.
There you go.
And I think they even offered an additional incentive for me to buy some things that day. So again, my initial reaction was, wow, this is kind of creepy.
It's great for economic growth.
It is, but
it really is. Promote, buy,
exactly.
Consumerism, right?
Exactly. So I made a couple purchases, and there were one or two things that I wanted to get that I decided at the last minute, okay, I'm not going to get. I bought those other items. I went home. When I was home that night, I was sitting there and we were talking about.
By the way, you missed Macy's on the way home.
Exactly. Well, I don't have.
That was your last stop, and you missed it.
I don't have a Macy's loyalty card, so otherwise they probably would have notified me as I drove by. But we were at home. We were talking about the purchases we made, and I said, you know what, man, those shoes that I put back. I think I really want those. I think I might go back and buy those. And a few minutes after that, I received an email from Kohl's saying, hey, thank you for your purchases today. If there's anything that you forgot to get, here's a 20% off coupon that you can go back and purchase those. And at that point, I did look out the window to see if they were hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, there was a camera.
Listening.
Or you looked in your room. Did they install a camera here?
Right.
Is there one on me? Is there one on my phone everywhere I go?
Right, exactly.
It's crazy. You know that everything you're talking about now in terms of the success factor in omni-channel marketing, in order to get loyalty, right, it requires engagement.
It requires engagement, but it requires the right kind of engagement.
Right kind of, exactly.
That's the key.
Strategic engagement.
And
not overbearing. You're not overkill, not just making people feel really, really uncomfortable. It's like every move I'm making, here's another coupon, here's another 10% off.
Well, and that's the other side of it. Is I recently was thinking about changing insurance companies. And I won't say the insurance company I did this with, but I went online to get a quote. Mm-hmm. During the time when I did the quote, I had to put in my email address. I ended up not going with this insurance company, but they emailed me every day for at least 2 weeks afterwards saying, hey, do you still want to go forward with this quote? That annoyed me, and I'll be honest, even if at this point, even if they did have a better price, I probably wouldn't even shift to them because their engagement wasn't done the right way.
It's also, you get into, and what I'm going to talk about in a little bit about the new way of thinking and business development and all of that they're in a pure sales environment. Just
pure sales.
Sales.
Price.
Yes. Push. Which is, I guess the dark side of all of this is that you get overwhelmed and bombarded.
Absolutely.
With all this stuff. And it's good to have it. I know that 80% of it, I delete those emails here, unless I'm getting ready to buy something, and then I see stuff from, again, Old Navy or something like that. I go, okay, this is good. I think I might shop online, or maybe I'll go in person and check it out. So I think also in another way, this entire idea of omni-channel marketing is pulling people into the stores as well.
It is. I use this term pull purchasing for how omni-channel works. Is that the consumer? We talk about in marketing all the time. There's this purchasing process. It kind of starts with need recognition.
Yep.
Go through this information search. You end up with making a purchase at the end. Mm-hmm. With omni-channel marketing, it's really taking a step back and looking at that whole experience and realizing that once the consumer is aware of your product, the idea is more just to kind of inch them closer to making that buy a little bit, and adding in a personal touch to how you approach them is really, really having a much stronger effect on consumers today, especially the millennial generation that you mentioned.
Yep.
That kind of actually likes this type of interaction from the internet. We talked about, I mentioned there's this kind of a creepiness to or Big Brother type of feeling of companies knowing this information.
We're watching you.
But especially with that younger generation, I think that feeling is going away.
Yeah, and they're very comfortable with it, and I'm starting to understand. I'm a baby boomer, so I'm starting to understand the flow of all of this, and And the more I look at it and I focus and I pay attention to it, the more excited I get and the more I want to know. Hey, Greg, we had a couple of minutes left, and I wanted you to, before we wrap it up, is to share maybe 2 or 3 tips for all of the business owners, all the decision makers and companies on why they should consider becoming really good at this, and what would be the benefit to them to doing it.
Absolutely. One of the kind of the key things that kind of wraps up why omnichannel is working is there's another survey, some data I want to share with you, where consumers were asked if they would be willing to share personal information in return for promotions, coupons, and things like that. And when I say personal information, I don't mean your name and your email address. I mean your GPS location, or your purchasing history, or things that seem kind of have that big brother effect that we've talked about in the past. 60% of the consumers said they're more than happy to share that information as long as it leads to something that is personal or something that's going to give them some sort of discount or a better buying.
And there's a fine line with that, because unfortunately the dark side of technology are the hackers and the people that are grabbing this information, and they are abusing it. So there's that, how much information do I share? What's enough information?
What is enough information? What's the right information to share? At the same time, people that are inundated in technology, that are Facebook every day, or that are kind of live within social media, they're also getting a little programmed to. I don't want to say the internet is thinking for them, but it's
sometimes I think that's what's going on.
Sometimes it is, or is it, at least it's kind of sparking ideas or igniting or starting off these thought processes for them. What consumers want today is they want that personal touch. They don't want to get hit with 1,000 emails of things that are irrelevant to them, and so they have to weed through it. They want something that shows that the company sees them as a person. So that reminder from Kohl's, because it was the year anniversary of the charge card, that's the perfect example. I get emails from Target.com when my niece's birthdays come up, because I tend to order a lot of gifts for them because they're across the country through Target. That's a personal touch. Them knowing things like that and helping reminders, those are the things that are driving consumers today.
So I think that the big message for our listeners that are presidents, CEOs of larger companies, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and a lot of what you do, or a lot of your products, or all of your products, can be purchased online, okay, or that's a big part of your business model, is to have this strategic omni-channel marketing approach to everything, and don't overdo it. Be very clear. Do it the right way. And if you and again, it's engagement.
It's engagement.
Strategic engagement's what we're talking about here.
Strategic engagement. Think about, put yourself in the consumer's shoes
all the time.
That's all you have to do. Just think about it from the consumer's perspective. That's omni-channel, the omni-channel approach, the consumer's perspective. What would they want? What is going to spark their interest? What is going to engage them without overwhelming them, and kind of inching them and slowly pulling them towards that final purchase of, hopefully, your product instead of your competitor.
Absolutely. And when you do it in this particular way, you will remain top of mind, but in a very positive, engaging way. And that's really, I think, what everybody should aspire to.
Absolutely.
All right, Greg, we need to wrap it up, but how can the listeners find out more about this particular program you offer at FIU, or just with any general questions that they may have?
Sure, they could contact the marketing department at FIU within the business school. We have a great program there. We have a new Masters of Marketing program where we're covering. I'm actually teaching omnichannel marketing as a course directly within that class. It's a wonderful program, and if it's something that you're interested in, please reach out to FIU marketing department to get more detail.
Greg, this is fascinating, and it's very fascinating for me, and I've never really been a techie guy or anything like that, or have been involved, but since we launched this global business radio network, we are definitely hungry for information because we want to continue to engage all of our listeners and provide opportunities for all of our sponsors, all of our partners, so that everybody can grow and prosper and get to that next level. And this whole world of the internet, a global internet, is something that we embrace. That's what we do. And I really appreciate it. We have to. We have no choice there. Greg, this has been great, my friend. We definitely, you and I are going to talk off the air. We're going to sit down and meet, but we're going to bring you back here and do this periodically because this is fascinating.
I would love to.
This is the world we're living in. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Pete.
Have a great day.
You too.